Good morning. Thank you again for being with us. This is Suzanne Brooks. I'm the Director of Meetings and Conventions for the Ohio Dental Association. Your participation and the exhibitors' participation is greatly important to our annual session, and we think that you're our shining star. We think that the exhibit hall is one of the things that drives our attendance at the annual session each year. So with that, we have always prided ourselves in making sure that we're providing what we need to do to make both the exhibitors and the dental association's interest in annual session successful. The annual session committee this year, led by Dr. Mike Winnick, who is also on the webinar today with us, is extremely important and works very hard to make sure that all of our goals are achieved. And in doing that, they have put together the Exhibitor Advisory Committee. And that is a group that we listen to each year to make sure, actually twice a year, in formal meetings, to make sure that we're meeting your goals. Part of that this year was to hire Competitive Edge to make sure that all of the things that we thought we were doing right were getting communicated to the exhibitors in the best way. So with that, we've brought Jefferson Davis on board, and Jefferson has a very strong background, as you know, and a lot of you know his name even better than we do in the articles that he's published and the other meetings that he's been a part of. So Jefferson, thank you so much for being such an important part of our team, and we're looking forward to the next 55 minutes.
All right, thank you, Suzanne, and again, Dr. Winnick and everybody at the Ohio Dental Association, and more equally important, all of you that are on this webinar today. I got some really good news for you about today's topic. Not only will it help you get significantly better trade show results, but it will give you a serious competitive advantage. 8 out of 10 exhibitors rent space, show up, and hope that things work out. And often they don't, but they continue to exhibit because often they feel like they have to be there, you know, what would the market say? So what we're going to talk about today is something that only the top 20% of exhibitors are doing. And so get excited about the idea of that you're going to be taking a deeper dive on a topic that will have strong benefit for your company and give you serious competitive advantage. The title of today's session is called Driving Qualified Booth Traffic, and we're going to work through a step-by-step process on how to identify and attract enough of the right attendees to your exhibit. That's a mouthful. Who are the right people? How much is enough? And what can you do between now and September when you show up to be in the mind and be on the agenda of enough? Now, I don't know about all of you listening, but myself, I have exhibited over the years personally as an exhibitor at over 200 shows. And, you know, I always felt the only time I ever heard from the show organizer was when they wanted a check or when they were sending me that big service kit telling me all that stuff I had to do and frankly didn't want to do but had to do. So how cool is it to be working with a association like Ohio Dental Association that cares enough about us as exhibitors to make a significant financial investment in this program and give it to us as a value-added service. So the Exhibitor Success and ROI Center is the centerpiece of what we're building over time. And these webinars we do, which will be live, and we're going to record and post them up onto the ESRC. And over time, we'll build out a lot of topical webinars. There's an article series on there, which takes a strong hit at the critical factors that make the difference. And you have access to a function called Ask the Trade Show and I should add an S on there, experts, because I've got a team of trade show experts, many of which carry a CTSM, Certified Trade Show Marketer designation. So when you send your questions through the Ask the Trade Show Expert, it comes to me, I forward it to my team of experts, and you get some of the best thinking on how to make your trade show program more productive and profitable. My suggestion on this ESRC is to, number one, favorite place or bookmark it. Second, be sure to share it with everybody on your exhibiting team. And last but not least, be sure to visit there frequently because we will be adding updates. So the Exhibitor Success and ROI Center. My background's pretty simple. Hard to believe, in August of this year, I will have been in trade shows now for 30 years. Became a consultant trainer back in 1991. For me and my clients now, trade shows were never a place to show up and fly the company flag and hand out some samples or some tchotchkes and go home. I was always in a position where I had to make every dollar do the work of 10. You know, I never had the big budget, and I never had the luxury of just throwing money at a show like there was no tomorrow. And one of my mentors early in my career said something to me which really resonated when it comes to trade shows. He said, Jefferson, if you can't make money with a little bit of money, you won't make it with a lot of money. And as I thought about trade shows and my 30-year run in this industry and how much money gets spent, spent being the operative word, boy, that rings really true. So what I've been working on over these 30 years and really since 1988, becoming a massive student and a practitioner and ultimately a teacher and trainer, is processes, okay? What are the critical factors that make the difference between our trade show ending up as an expensive appearance where we just leave the money on the floor or a profitable investment? And I've identified 5 major factors, and we're going to hit one of them in today's webinar, which is this factor of selective attraction. So if you ever want to talk shows, I'm available. You see my 800 number, my email. Call me, email me. Love to talk shows. Would be happy to provide a complimentary kind of an ROI consultation, see how you're doing. All right, so let's start out with a poll here. We're on the topic of driving booth traffic. So I want you to come from the heart here. You know, don't try to read into the answers here. Just whatever feels right for you. Which of the following factors do you feel is most important, and that's the key word here, is most important in driving booth traffic? Do you feel it's your physical location on the show floor? Do you feel how big and pretty your booth is? Do you feel it's your marketing efforts, what you do to promote and let people know you're going to be there? Do you feel it's how great your products or your services are? Or do you feel maybe it's your company's reputation in the marketplace? So fastest fingers, everybody, I'm looking for 100% participation on this poll. Click the one that most accurately represents what you believe is most important in driving booth traffic. And we're at 77% of the group. So if you haven't voted yet, if you're looking at email or something else, turn that off. Log in here with me. I promise you these next 50 minutes are going to deliver big-time value for the time you're investing in the show. We're at 85%. Anyone who hasn't voted, I'll give you just another moment. Over 90%. Awesome. Thank you. So let's share the results. I want you to see what your colleagues are thinking here. All right. So 23%, 1 out of 4 of us feel that our booth location is the most important factor in driving traffic. 62% of us feel that is our marketing efforts. 8% feel it's quality of product services, and 8% company reputation. Let me talk to these results. You know, you got to have a quality product or service just to stay in the market today, okay? That's kind of a rite of passage. The reputation of your company needs to be solid, and those are factors. But when we say most important, 23% said location. And Exhibit Surveys has been conducting quantitative and qualitative research since 1963 on the topic of exhibiting, and they've done several studies on the impact of location on the overall results an exhibit delivers, and they can't make any real correlation between the physical location and the results. Okay, so that being said, you know, if you were in a big, massive show, you know, like 1,000 exhibiting companies and it's in 2 or 3 big halls, maybe. In an intimate show like the Ohio Dental Association, whether you're front and center or you're off to the left or you're back in the corner near the bathrooms, honestly, I don't think it's really going to make that much of a difference, because the 62% of you who said our marketing efforts are the thing that is most important, right there, I agree with you 100%, and I know empirically having worked with hundreds of companies of all sizes in every type of show you can imagine, that it really doesn't matter where we're located on the show floor. You know, I can be over literally near the bathroom, over in the corner behind two pillars, and get more traffic than a company who's front and center by applying some of the things that we're going to talk about here today. So thanks for participating in that. Wanted to kind of, get an attitudinal check where we were. So what we're going to cover today very quickly is how trade show attendee behaviors have changed over the last several years and why marketing your exhibit before you show up is not a maybe. It's not a, oh, I'd like to if I could find the time or money. It's an absolutely critical success factor. Okay, next, we're going to walk you through a 8-step process. This is a process that I apply with my clients. Clients typically will pay anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000 to work with me one-on-one. You're getting it free. We're literally going to open up the chest here and walk you through the exact 8 steps we apply. You can take it out of here, use as much of it that makes sense for you, and put it to work. And then finally, we'll give you kind of a quick overview of some of the marketing resources that are available through ODA as part of your integrated plan, which we'll talk about. And then we'll wrap this up with an example of an integrated, what this campaign looks like for a small exhibitor in an inline and a medium exhibitor in a small, a peninsula or island booth. So let's get after this, okay? The critical success factors I talked about earlier. The problem with a lot of us as marketers and exhibit managers is that we're caught in what I like to call the logistics trap. What I mean by that is we're spending 95% of our pre-show time is spent on get the space, get the booth, get the products, get the people, get the literature, get it to the convention center, get it into the hall, get it set up, get it torn down, get it sent home on time and on budget. And we're living in the logistics trap, okay? You got to do that stuff. I get that. But if you're going to really make your exhibit program deliver big-time results, you've got to carve out some time to address the critical success factors. And here's the big 4 right here. Number 1 is outcomes. Stephen Covey in his great book, 7 Habits, said, begin with the end in mind. Major question that every company should be asking when they're exhibiting at a show is this. When the doors close, 90, 180 days after the show, how will we know we succeeded? Then we work backwards from those outcomes and we turn them into specific goals and we create a written action plan and we communicate these to everybody on our team and we execute our plan. So outcomes. So you want to set goals that support your company's sales, marketing, and customer relationship management and simultaneously take advantage of the incredible opportunities that the ODA Annual Session presents for your company. We've got a really strong article up on the Success and ROI Center called Planning to Win. I would suggest if you haven't downloaded it and read it, I would do that. It will give you the high notes of addressing this first critical success factor. Second, this is the topic, the subject matter of what we're going to take a deep dive on this morning, selective attraction. We're going to talk about developing integrated marketing processes to do what? Get enough of the right people to your exhibit. And honestly, for most exhibitors, this factor, the second critical factor, this is the single biggest factor that is limiting their results. It's often their inability to get enough of the right people to the exhibit. So we're going to knock that one out of the park today. Third critical factor is the overall visitor experience. I'm talking about your exhibit. I'm talking about your product or service presentation and demonstration. And I'm talking about your booth staff. All of those things have to be very carefully thought through and designed and engineered to deliver a quality visitor experience that gets a commitment to a next step with qualified visitors. So that is a deep topic. We've got some content up on the Exhibitor Success and ROI Center. There's some articles. Be sure to go up and download and read those. And fourth, follow through. For the expensive appearance exhibitor, when the doors close, the show's over. For the successful, profitable exhibitor, when the doors close, the real work begins. They view a trade show not as an event. This is not 3 days in Columbus. They view it as a campaign. It's a 6-month campaign, beginning at least 3 months before showtime, 3 days at, and 3 months after. And they're taking clear and decisive action in the pre-show phase, in the at-show phase, and in the post-show phase. Okay, so that follow through. And what are we trying to do there? Basically, all those commitments to action we captured at the show, we're converting those to action, ideally some form of purchasing. Then we're measuring, we're keeping score, and we're reporting our results. Okay, so here's a question for you. As you think about these 4 critical success factors, I'd like you to score yourself right now on a 1 to 5. A 5 is very effective. You've got complete control over this factor. A 1 is ineffective. So go ahead, take a moment in your workbook and jot a 1 to 5 by each of these 4 factors. 5, we got this nailed, very effective. 1, we're not really addressing this. And here's the thing, in my experience now, 30 years of doing this, no matter how big the company, how much money they're spending on the show, what sort of results they're getting, I found that every company is struggling in one, and in many cases, all of these 4 areas. But here's the promise. If you do these 4 things well, you succeed at every show you do. If you neglect any of these 4, it's very similar to a table with 4 legs. It's like having one of those legs missing or broken. The stability of the whole program is jeopardized. So what do you need to improve? We're going to attack number 2 right now. Okay, so let's start off with some humor here. This tune kind of brings it home. Here you go. You know, the dentist is walking up to the booth. Hey, what kind of free stuff you got, right? And he throws the bag open, and you know, and then he's kind of moving on. We got to get clear about who we really want visiting our booth. Okay, so we're going to identify who are the right people and how much is enough. You know, because this strategy here, write this phrase down. What you use to attract is who you'll attract. So in this example, we're using the tchotchke giveaway approach. We're basically attracting what? Trick-or-treaters, right? People that want to fill the bag up with something and go on. I don't know. Is that who you want at your booth? I don't know. You know, so what you use to attract is who you'll attract. There's a better way to attract the right people around content that is relevant and important to them, and we're going to talk about that in this webinar, how to do that. So let's take a quick look at attendee behaviors. They've changed, and many exhibitors have not kept up with these changes. I'm going to bring them to you right now. Here we go. Number 1 is because of many factors, including practice management and all of that, they tend to be registering a little closer to the show than in previous years. They used to register a little farther out. They tend to be registering closer to the show. The total number of days they're spending at the show, it used to be in the 2.6 to 3.9 days. It's now down to 1.6 to 2.4 days. So they're spending fewer number of total days at a show. Now, that doesn't mean they don't value shows. In fact, they value shows as much, if not more than ever. But like you, like me, you know, they've got a lot of tasks, and they've got to justify their time at. So they're spending fewer number of days. They're really looking for content, takeaway content, useful information. They want to know how to deliver better patient care, better practice management, you know, all of this stuff. And they're looking to us as exhibitors to make that exhibit hall an adjunct to the educational sessions. They want to learn something. Okay, there's 3 reasons why people go to shows, and here they are. Learning, shopping, networking. And almost every attendee has a combination or a hierarchy of those needs. And in medical, dental type events, where often continuing education, learning may be the primary reason. So what you want to think about then from your exhibit is not how can I sell my products and services, but how can I teach dental professionals something that is useful that helps them see where my product services fit better into their practice. Because if you teach them, if you educate them first, it'll be a lot easier to sell them on the back end. It'll also be a lot easier to get them into the hall and to your booth. Write this one down. 3 out of 4 attendees arrive with an agenda. They've got a hit list. They know what sessions are going to attend. They know what social events are going to attend. They know where their blocks of time in the exhibit hall are. They have a hit list of exhibitors they want to visit. Okay? They've got questions. They've got problems. They've got projects in mind. The average attendee, number 5, will stop and cross the carpet line of 26 to 31 booths on average. Obviously, some more, some less, but that's the average. And catch number 6 here, because this is big, half of these exhibit stops are pre-planned. So I want you to let these 6 changes kind of marinate or resonate for a minute, because what blows me away about these 6 changes is that less than 20% of exhibitors execute a well-conceived, targeted pre-show marketing campaign. Most of them do what I call exhibit by hope. Rent space, show up, and hope. And if you want to get more from shows, and there's one thing that you can do to turn it, it's this topic we're on today. So it's important we understand how attendees have changed and we adapt. So the question then becomes, how do we get on their agenda? Well, this cartoon brings it home. The Dogbert School of Trade Show Marketing, the Dogbert Consulting Firm, says that your booth has to grab attention. He says that you can use magic tricks, special effects, raffles, and booth babes, and then he brings it home with the great advice that combine all 4 and create the illusion that you're raffling off the booth babes. So I don't know. I mean, is this the secret to attracting? Well, let's go back to what I said a moment ago. What you use to attract is who you'll attract. Dogbert would struggle to deliver results for companies. That's not the way. So if that's not the way, then the question becomes, what is the way? The way is to execute a process, okay, a very clear process. And, hey, one thing I believe in business for sure is that almost everything can be boiled down to processes. And the better the process, the more consistent, predictable, and reliable the results. So I've been working as a, now as a consultant trainer for 24 years, applying this process. This changes the game. I've had companies go from spending $25,000 on a show, getting nothing back, to investing $25,000 in the same show and getting $100,000 back within 90 days of closing time. And I've had numbers that go way beyond that, but just to give you an example. And sometimes this is the one thing that turns it. So rather than walk through these 8 steps on this slide, I'm going to take a dive right in right now. This is going to get very interactive. Make sure you get your workbook, a pen, and a calculator. So let's get after it. Okay, so step number 1. The question I always ask every company, why are you exhibiting? I want you to take a look right now in step 1 on the screen in your workbook, and I want you to put a check mark or circle by your top 3 reasons for exhibiting. Top 3 reasons. Is it about visibility and awareness? Got a new product, got a new service you're introducing? Is it about relationship management and also building and adding to it? Is it about differentiating or positioning your company or your product branding in the market? Is it about educating the market? Is it about generating leads? Is it about sales and business development? Is it about being seen as thought leaders? And that's not the only reasons. Those are the top reasons, but they're not the only ones. So maybe you have something else. So what I want you to do right now in step 1 is I want you to get clarity on why are you exhibiting, and then I want you to put them in the order of a hierarchy. If you were only able to accomplish one thing, what would it be of those 3? And then if you could do just one more, what would that be? And if you could squeeze one more outcome into your goals, what would it be? 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now, these are kind of written in the form of reasons, so I do want you to go to the Success and ROI Center, download the article on planning to win, and I want you to back up each of these 3 reasons with a written action plan. You've got almost 4 months till showtime. You're right in the sweet spot to do this. I tell you what, if you will create clear goals backed up with written action plans, you'll put yourself in the top 10% of companies exhibiting at the show. Begin with the end in mind, have clear goals and outcomes. Step 1. Okay. Step number 2, okay, we've got to get into what we call the ideal visitor profile. Okay, so profiling is getting clarity on who you want to interact with. what types of practices or specialties, what specific job functions and titles, what size. Size might be in terms of the number of operatories or the number of procedures done or the number of patients served or revenue. Geography may play a role. There may be certain areas that you have better coverage than others, and anything else that you want to use to define. And what I want to see from you in step 2 is a written profile of who you define as your ideal visitor. So if you look on the right under the photo, you kind of get a breakdown of the numbers who attend. So you've got dentists, almost 1,300 dentists. You've got 900, almost 950 hygienists. You've got dental assistants, over 700, and office personnel for practice management, almost 450 of them. And you've got students, and today's students are tomorrow's buyers, so all those people. So what types? And then once you get clarity on your ideal visitor, this is a really important question. I want you to stop thinking about your products and your services. They don't care about product services. And I want you to think more about their problems, their needs, their concerns, their top-of-the-mind issues. Okay, we're going to come back to that in a moment. But as you craft your profile and you look at, okay, my product services are these, then what situations would cause a dentist or a hygienist or an assistant or an office staffer to think about what we do? We'll come back to that. But in step 2, I want you to craft your profile. Now, there's another group of people that the average exhibitor misses when it comes to their pre-show marketing efforts, and it's an internal strategy. I call it the CPS triangle. You should sit down and make a list of every customer that you are now or have done business with that are likely to be at this event or within geographical striking distance of this event. And I put this in red because you should never go into a key show without reaching out and touching your customers, whether you think they're going or not. Why? Competition's knocking at the door. Do not lose by absence or default. Next, when you create a list of these customers, I want you to think about an objective for the interaction. Is it about relationship management? Maybe you haven't had FaceTime with them in the last 90 to 180 days. Do you know the average attendee says that of the booths they visit at a show, they have not had face-to-face contact with 84% of them over the last 12 months? Relationship management. Is it about probing for additional opportunity within the account? Maybe you sell a range of products or services and they're only buying one or two, so it's cross-selling. Maybe it's about change, keeping your ears to the ground for change. Maybe it's about advocacy. Maybe they love your company and your product services, and one of the best things you could do is be pairing them up with prospects. And by the way, that second group that you want to target, and I have them in green, are prospects. These are people that you're already in the sales cycle with. Your sales team should be making a list of people using the show for one thing, to move them to the next step in the sales cycle. So your second part of your list is your prospects. And this is where the quick cash flow it shows is. The ability to literally get ROI by closing time within 30 days of the show. People that are already in the pipeline, right? And then your third group, I call these your suspects. I would also call them your profile matches, the one you created a moment ago. These are people that you have no meaningful dialogue or engagement with. You have one objective, get a foot in the door. Here's the action thing. Go to your sales team, your dealer, your distributors, ask them to put together a list containing X number of names, 10 customers, 10 prospects, 10 suspects. Ask them to have at least 3 personal touches with that list prior to the show, to the purpose of getting them to the show and getting them to your booth. And if you have your sales team do that, you'll have an excited sales team showing up. You'll have a booth full of high-value interactions. CPS triangle. Most companies are doing this somewhat loosely, but they haven't brought that kind of structure. Step 2, identify your external, your internal sources. Okay, so number 3, we're on target visitor lists here. The pre-registered attendee list. Not only do you get the pre-registered attendee list, but the prior year list is available, and it's one-time usage before the show. It's free. You know, most shows charge anywhere from $400 to $1,000 for this list. Ohio Dental Association gives it to you for free. You know, on average, less than 10% of exhibitors use the pre-registered attendee list. If there's one list we got to use, it's this one. They've registered. They're coming. Okay, so make sure you get it and use it. Previous or post-show attendee list. The average attendee only goes to 2 shows a year. They're real loyal about which 2 they go to. Really good list to use. Then your internal database. Customers, prospects, suspects we just talked about. Then recent inquiries. Anybody that has inquired into your product services over the last 60, 90, 180 days, put them on the list. Talk to your dealers, your distributors. If you use independent reps or rep groups, talk to them. Build lists there. Trade publication readership lists, another great source. Okay, so what I want you to do in this part is I want you to identify your internal and your external list sources. Okay, and then we're going to move to our next step, which is how much is enough. Okay, how much traffic do we need to really make the show work for us? And the number is going to surprise you here. Grab your pen, grab a calculator, let's do this. Okay, so the ODA Annual Session has 18.5 exhibiting hours. We're going to call that your playing field. Question: how many people are going to be in your booth on average for those 18 hours? Your staff that are there for the purpose of engaging visitors. If you're in a 10 by 10 booth, 2, maybe 3. So whatever your number is, write it down, multiply the 2 together, and you have an important number called your total staff hours. I call this your interaction capacity. Now, listen carefully, the next piece of the puzzle. How many target interactions per hour per staffer should you be going for? Well, the average interaction in a booth is 3 to 7 minutes. So I could make a case for 8 to 20 interactions per hour per staffer. I'll never make that case. I'll tell you where you're going to be realistic and smart. 3 to 5 interactions per hour per staffer over the ebb and flow of the show. 3 conservative, 4 moderate, 5 aggressive. Now, pick one of those numbers and multiply it by your total staff, and I think you have got one of the most important numbers you will ever know and understand about exhibiting. So if you're on the conservative end, you have the capacity for 111 face-to-face, one-to-one interactions through your exhibit. If you're on the aggressive end, you have the capacity for 185. Doesn't that make your life a lot easier when you sit here and you look out, 4 months down the line and you think, wow, for us to succeed at the ODA Annual Sessions, we just got to get in the mind and on the agenda of 111 of the right people, or 185 if you're playing it on the aggressive end, okay? This show has over 3,500 dental professionals combined, from dentists to hygienists to assistants to office managers. Is it possible? Is it doable? Is it realistic that if you target your audience well and execute a campaign that you can get 111 of the right people to your booth? The answer is, of course, most definitely. Now, here's the thing. If you don't like the number, if you go 111, that's it, well, what can you change? Can you change the number of hours in the show? No, they're fixed. Can you change the number of staff on duty? Within reason. Don't try to cram 4 booth staffers into a 10 by 10 space. You'll have a problem called no space for dentists. That's called mistake colossal. Is it possible to get more interactions per hour per staffer? Yes, with good pre-marketing, with a well-designed exhibit, and exhibit staff training your staff on how to be efficient and effective in managing the interaction. So maybe you bump up the booth staff by 1 and you go to on the 6 per staffer per hour. So you can see how the numbers change, okay? Now, what do? Let's bring this home in terms of pre-show marketing. I'd like to see your list, your target list of ideal visitors before the show 3 to 5 times your interaction capacity. 3 to 5 times. Okay. Now you're playing the game strategically, scientifically, and you're basically laying your foundation for success before you ever get there. Okay? Step 3, interaction capacity. Now, I know I'm throwing a lot at you here, so questions. The moment they flash in your mind, go to that question box, type it, press send, and I'll be taking questions in a moment. But we got a lot of ground to cover still, so let's keep rocking. Exhibit interaction capacity. This is the centerpiece of an effective campaign. Why? Because what are you really buying at a trade show? Face-to-face contact. And you don't have an infinite amount of capacity. Some people go, well, I'd like to get like 500 leads from the show. And we run their interaction capacity, and they have the capacity for 185 interactions. How are you going to get 500 leads from 185 interactions? Answer, you're not going to, okay? So this is bringing some reality into the planning stage of making your exhibit work. Okay, let's do a quick poll here, our second poll of the day. I'd like to know what percentage of your total exhibit budget you currently allocate to promoting your exhibit, to driving traffic. The poll is live on the screen. Take a look. Click the radio dial button that applies. Do this now, and I'll share the results very quick. All right, we're at 85% of the votes. If you haven't voted yet, oh, we're over 90. Thank you. For the sake of time, let me close and share this, and let's talk to the results. Okay, so 8% of us are allocating nothing. The 8% who said that, I want you to go back and look at changing attendee behaviors. That in and of itself is reason enough. They're not just walking up and down every single aisle and just falling into booths at random. They're pre-planning their agenda. Your goal is to be in their mind on their agenda. You should be allocating something. 8% of you are in the 1 to 5. 58% of you are on the 6 to 9. 17% 10 to 14, and 8% over. Okay, so let me show you what's happening here. This is the research. The average company, look at the screen here, the average company allocates 6% of their total exhibit budget to promoting their exhibit. Now, I was fortunate to have one of those great mentors in the early days that said, Jefferson, if you want to succeed, find out what the average is doing and don't do it. The average is not succeeding. The average is making expensive appearances. So if the average is allocating 6%, I'm going to play it a different way here. So let's take a look in your workbook in budgeting enough resources, step number 4. So I want you to write down your total show investment. I'm just using this as an example. Write your number. By the way, the budgeting rule of thumb, floor space times 3 to 5. So let's say I've got a $10,000 total investment in the show. I'm going to suggest that you allocate at least 15%, at least, okay? So I'm going to, in that example, I'm going to have at least $1,500 for promoting my exhibit. And now there's times when I'm going to go higher than that, when I'm in a big show, when I've got a small booth, right? I got a lot of competitors there, but I got this little booth. When I have concerns about the location, when the audience match in the show is a dead ringer match for me, these are all times when I'm going to allocate more, okay? Now, some of you say, Jefferson, but my boss, well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go back to your boss and show him this chart. I can make a very accurate prediction. If you get enough of the right people to your booth, all of these areas will end up as an investment position to deliver ROI. I can also make a very dire forecast. If you don't get enough of the right people to your booth, all of these areas will end up as an expense. Do you want to play this game from the expense standpoint or the investment standpoint? Allocate at least 15% in step 4. Okay, let's go to our next step, number 5 here. We got a strange build going on. Okay, so in step 5, it's not enough to just market. Hey, we're going to be exhibiting. Come visit Competitive Edge, booth 2484. We have to be able to create messaging, compelling messaging that grabs the attention of our audience and creates engagement. So there are 4 strategies to use in your messaging. New. At a trade show, new is your single biggest drawing card. It's the primary reason they attend. If you got something new, promote it, promote it, promote it. NEW. Familiar. People notice what's familiar to them. Unusual. People notice unusual. Think about the E-Trade babies in the commercials, and most of the Super Bowl commercials you see are based around unusual strategies, and they work. And then problematic. In business-to-business marketing, problematic and new are the best, the most effective. Just think about the problems that they're likely to be having because they're not using your product service. Dangle those problems in your pre-marketing. I'm telling you, they will notice your marketing. They'll engage with your marketing. The 2 words that you have to make sure everything you print, send, email, is this relevant to them? If so, how? Is this important to them? Relevance gets you noticed. Importance gets you engaged. Okay, so the best thing you can do is step away from your product services and ask what situations might be happening in their practice that would prompt them to think about what I offer, get clarity on those situations, and dangle those situations in your pre-marketing, in your exhibit graphics, in your in-booth experience. Okay, then 4 key words, capture these 4 words. They need to be in everything you do to pre-market. What are they going to see? What are they going to do? What are they going to learn? And what are they going to get from visiting? Okay, so there's a lot of stuff. I could do a whole webinar on this slide alone. I'm giving you the high points. New, problematic. It's got to be relevant. It's got to be important. Think about situations, not your product services. Dangle those. See, do, learn, get. That is like a mini clinic on how to design marketing that cuts through the clutter and grabs people's attention and forces them to engage. Okay, so this would be a good time before we get into the next 4 pieces of the program, which will go really quick here, because that was all the foundational work. Steps 1 through 5 are foundational. So any questions that flash into your mind? Now, by the way, remember this too. There's no such thing as a dumb question, except maybe the one that you need to ask and you want to ask, but you don't ask. Okay, so questions. Take a moment. Anything flashed in your mind on anything we've talked about, type it in, press send. And while you're thinking about that, I'm going to keep moving on content because we got much to cover in less than 15 minutes. Okay, so steps 1 through 5, again, were foundational. You identified your exhibiting goals. You identified your target audience. You ran your exhibit interaction capacity. You identified your list sources. And you've got some direction on how to build marketing content that will actually work. In step 6, we've got to take all of that now and we've got to start blending it all together, and we have to analyze all these different media options. We have to select the right mix. Okay, so there are 4 C's that I want to share on marketing success. Number 1, your message has to captivate. Quality, price, service since 1792. Platitudes. It's not going to interrupt. It's not going to engage. So that message has really got to resonate, and it's got to grab my attention. Then the design theme needs to be carried through everything from your email to your mail to your print to your web to your literature to your exhibit graphics. Very consistent, so you're building that brand identity. Okay. Next, people ask me all the time. They go, Jefferson, what is the single best media for marketing my booth? My answer is always the same. There is no single best. The magic is in the mix. So you're going to want to use a combination of show-specific media, industry-specific media, and direct marketing media from your company. The magic is in the mix. There's no single best. Okay? Next, what do you communicate in this pre-marketing? You don't tell the whole story. Basically, you just dangle what we do, why you should care, who we are, and where and how to find us. Okay, I don't want to tell the whole story. I want you to read my marketing and go, oh, this is awesome. I got to know more. Okay, and where do I get more? Coming to the show and coming to your booth. Do not tell your whole story. Okay, dangle the problems, position solutions, discussions at the booth. And then creative frequency. You're going to want to try to land 3 direct hits with your ideal visitor profile leading up to the showtime. And it seems to work best when these 3 hits come from different media, which I'll explain in a moment. Okay, some C's to success, all important as you think about analyzing and selecting media. Next, okay, some of the considerations. Obviously, you've got goals. Certain media support certain goals better than others. You don't have an unlimited amount of money. You got a budget, so you got to think about that. And you got to think about your capability to actually develop and use the media properly. Think about the timing in terms of where it falls leading up to showtime, and maybe most importantly, what your audience pays attention to and what they'll most likely respond to. Sometimes the best thing you can do is get on the phone with 10 of your customers and just ask them, hey, when you go to a show, what media do you most pay attention to, and what sort of offers or things grab your attention? Be amazed what your customers will tell you if you ask them. Now you can build marketing from the customer's perspective. All right, take a look at the screen here, grab a pen. Remember I said the magic is in the mix. I want you to circle how many of these media you currently use as part of your marketing campaign. How many you currently use? 1, 2, 3. You know, a lot of us today are kind of living and dying on email. You know, it's like email, email, email. Well, email is the new junk mail. You know, it's kind of like, now, can email work? Yeah, but it's got to be done properly. But if you only use email, it's kind of like running a race with a one-legged horse. That's a hard race to win, you know, a one-legged horse. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the odds of winning? Not good, right? So the more media you can use, the better. So I would be curious to some of you that did this quick exercise, put circle by the media, if you would send me through your question the number of media you're using, 3, 4, 5, 2, 1. If you would send those over, I'd be curious to see that. Okay, so how many media should you use? As many as your budget and your bandwidth will support. The more, the better. You want to be omnipresent. Here's the idea. I go to my email box, there you are. I log on to the website, there you are. I go to my voice message, there you are. I pick up the trade publication, there you are. I go on the mobile app, there you are. I show up at the show, there's a sign. I walk by your booth, there you are. The more, the better. The magic is in the mix, power in repetition, okay? So, now, what you want to do in this marketing game, ideally, is have at least one thing going in all 5 of the major areas. So, print and display advertising, something going. PR, something going. Electronic media, something going. Direct mail, something going. Personal contact, something going. Okay, so a ideal campaign, again, will have at least one thing going in all 5 of these areas. A world-class campaign will probably have multiple things going in all 5. So how many of these areas are you using? And then as you think about the different media options to use, there's a lot of cool stuff out there. The direct mail, hey, the clutter in the mailbox has gotten so light. You want to know where the clutter is? The clutter is in the email box. I tell you where the clutter is super light. It's in the mailbox. Oversized postcards that are well designed, that have linkage to the show, an image, a clear headline, see, do, learn, get, bring this card too. Personalized URLs, setting up a microsite and having a PURL, we call it, with the dentist or the practice name in it. Attaching video, the ability to set up short YouTube videos and link them into your audio email. Voice broadcasting, the voice messaging, the ability to record a message and have it drop in their voicemail box. Not robocalling, voice broadcasting or messaging. Setting up that microsite that has needs assessment and the ability to set appointments. Social media, obviously, using social media. Blogging, your blogs and subject matter experts promoting and linking too. And QR codes on media, the ability to click and go straight to a URL. So weave in as many of these media as you can into your campaign, okay? Now, I'm going to bring Amy on for a moment. I'm moving quick here. And what Amy's going to do is, you know, kind of just give us a high-level view of the stuff ODA has. A lot of it's free, and we're not here to sell you guys anything today. This is purely educational, but it is important that you're aware of the different options. So, Amy, take us on a quick tour of the ODA Exhibitor Marketing Ops.
Hi, I'm Amy Semenya. I'm the Exhibit Hall Manager, for those of you who don't know me. I just wanted to run through quickly the opportunities we have available to you for free to help you promote your presence in the exhibit hall during our show. The first thing is the mailing list that Jefferson spoke about earlier. What we do is we combine last year's dentist attendee registration list with any who have registered for this year's show by the time you request the list. Registration is just open, so there aren't a terrible amount of dentists who have registered yet, so you'll benefit by using last year's list this early on. Secondly, we do promote all of our exhibitors' names, contact information, website addresses in the on the online floor plan and any on-site show directories that we have. There's electronic signage at the show that serves as an exhibitor directory for our attendees. That also includes our online floor plan, which is currently available to everyone and includes your company information, your products, your services, your company description, and it shows where you are in the exhibit hall. The other feature that's something new for us this year is promoting your show specials. You can send them to me via the online portal, which we'll mention in a moment, or just email me 25 words or less show specials that you'll be having on site this year, and we'll have just a quick list that will be downloadable from our website for attendees to print out and have with them at the show. It'll also be available on the event mobile app. Secondly, or rather, in addition, we have these promotional tear sheets. They're small, convenient sheets with just the bullet points about the show, dates, and really highlights some information that you can take on sales calls with you, or you can include in mailings. It's just a quick reminder of the dates of the main events of the meeting, and then a space for you to write in your company name, your booth number, any other information you'd like to include. And I'd also encourage you to refer your customers to our social media sites. Our annual session Facebook page, our Twitter feed is constantly updated with information about the annual session, in addition to, of course, our website. Now, next are the opportunities that you can elect to participate in. These are paid opportunities, such as advertising in the ODA Today, which is the ODA's monthly news magazine. It's published 12 times a year, and you still have several chances to advertise and promote your presence in the summer publications, as well as the September issue, which will come out right before the meeting. And as I mentioned, the event mobile app, which we'll be using a lot more this year, will actually be using in place of the on-site program, which we've traditionally had, the on-site printed program. So we'll have advertising opportunities available on the mobile app. There are banner ads that will rotate throughout the show. The online floor plan also has paid advertising opportunities. If you look and see the sample, the screenshot of the online floor plan, you'll see that there's an ODA ad up there already. That's the ODA's for-profit subsidiary, just to give you an idea of what the ads would look like on that online floor plan. And then next, there's a lot of sponsorship opportunities available to you. I won't go through every one of them here, but there's a comprehensive list on our website, or please feel free to shoot me an email and I'll send those over to you. Anything from tote bags to sponsoring water stations to sponsoring food and beverage events, having signage, decals on the show floor, on the steps. If you're familiar with the convention center, there's a main set of steps that lead to the exhibit hall. And then finally, there are sponsorship opportunities available for continuing education courses, depending on what speakers or content you might find best suited to you. And also the Table Clinic event, which you may be familiar with, it offers free continuing education credit to attendees. They're presented in the exhibit hall, and this year they're actually being presented on Friday rather than our traditional Saturday. So that sponsorship is available to you as well. And I think that covers it.
All right, thank you, Amy. We've got an image up here of what this the online floor plan looks like. And she mentioned there are opportunities there. Really powerful tool to use. A lot of attendees will go online and kind of plan their agenda and figure out what booths they're going to visit. So the online floor plan, really smart place to go. And then the event mobile app. See what's on here, the ability for them to find your company by name, and the ability to have your show specials on there. They can really track and manage their events, see your show specials. So here's my quick advice. I would view Amy and Susie and the entire team at ODA as your marketing partner. I would think about what my goals were, who my target audience was, what my budget was. I'd pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, here's what I'm trying to accomplish. How can you help me do this? They'll do everything they can do to help you put together a campaign that fits your budget and supports your goals and hits your target audience. So don't be shy. Pick up the phone and call them. They're really there to one thing, to help you succeed. A lot of stuff available, so take a look at that. So let me move into the wind down on this, really on step 7. I want to show you kind of say, okay, what does a campaign look like here? So I'm a small exhibitor. I'm in a 10 by 10 booth. My floor space cost was about $1,100. Therefore, my total show budget should be in the $3,200 to $5,400 range, ideally on the $5,400. I have 2 goals, visibility and awareness, and I want to generate leads and drive post-show sales. So I'm going to run that CPS strategy with my sales reps. I'm going to promote my specials, my participation in relevant social media and through all the show channels. I'm going to put a show banner and a booth promo on my company website, make sure it's in my email signatures. I'm going to make sure I write a really sizzling, compelling listing for the online floor plan and also my online category search. I'm going to submit a show special for sure and get it on the floor plan and the mobile app. And then I'm going to use that pre-registered attendee list and mail to a subset of the total list that matches my profile. And that would be a very workable integrated campaign for a small exhibitor. Most of those things are free or low cost, and it would directly support my 2 goals of visibility and driving traffic and generating leads. I'm a little larger exhibit. I'm in a 20 by 20 space. I've got about $4,000 in floor space, so my total budget's in the $13,000 to $22,000 range. I have similar goals, but I've also got a new product introduction, and I want to build media awareness. So I'm going to run a lot of the similar things, but I'm going to advertise my new product in ODA today. Hey, readership of trade publications goes way up right before a show. So, and sponsoring to really help get that visibility. I'm going to sponsor, in this example, the celebration of excellence, a cocktail reception. And, you know, I could do a lot more than that, but again, that's going to give me kind of a snapshot. This is a great one-text way for you to think about your plan, too. Total show investment, budget, percentage to promotion, what your goals are, and then just go down and list what media. Again, trying to use a combination of print, mail, electronic, personal contact, and PR. Try to use all of that. So what does a campaign look like, an integrated campaign? I want to show you an example just for the importance of media and consistency. So if I'm running print, I'm using very strong colors, a real strong headline, bring it to life and stretch the experience. Got a clear call to action built into this. Visit us at booth number, clear in the ad. And you know, you would see this in the ODA today. You would see this in any print publications that I could find. Then mail. Remember we said the clutter in the mailbox is low, so you would see an oversized postcard using a personalized URL and the person's name on both the front and the back of the card. Link into the show. Then, because I have email addresses, I would be doing a couple personalized pre-show with the HTML masthead, including the Perl. And on top of that, I might be setting up a microsite or a landing page that has the ability to do needs assessment and appointment setting through the site. You'll notice also we're using, hey, continue the experience by entering some data. It automatically prints out. Bring this to the booth to pick up, in this case, a flash drive bracelet. And even with the bracelet, we had spotters on the floor. Said, hey, wear our bracelet around the floor. If we see you wearing it, we'll have a Starbucks gift card for you. So that's just a visual example to show you how an integrated campaign using print and mail and email and the web, tying it all together. And you want to bring that all the way through to your exhibit. And step number 8, last but not least. The reason you do all this is not to say you did it. One of the reasons you do all this is to create a replicable, scalable plan that you can edit and use for future shows. So to do that, we got to measure, okay? So we're going to first jot down all of the different media we used, and then we're going to jot timelines as to when the media was deployed relative to the show, and then how many pieces were mailed or emailed or print distribution, but we're looking for reach, in our third metric. And then we're going to document our cost. What did we invest on each of the media? And then we're going to do some tracking. You know, the beauty of email, we can track open and click-throughs. With direct mail, if we put a call to action and a reward, we should have our booth staff asking every visitor, how did you hear about our exhibit? Another way to track. But we're going to try to track the number of impressions or traceable response to the different media we did. Then what was the response? Number 7, then we're going to kind of look at all this at the end of the show and go, okay, what worked of all this media? Which ones really worked well? And then what did we learn from this campaign, and how can we edit it and build it and make it even better for the next show? Okay, so we have covered a lot of ground in a very short period here. We've talked about the importance of pre-marketing your exhibit. We've talked about how attendee behaviors have changed. We've walked you through a step-by-step process for developing an integrated, targeted pre-show marketing campaign. You know, what's really left to do here is to wind down this webinar and get off of here and do this stuff. 8 out of 10 exhibitors will not do what we're talking about here today. Be in that 20% that's doing this, because if you will, okay, we can start to wind down here, not by wishing you a more successful ODA annual session. If you will get in the mind and on the agenda of enough of the right attendees, I guarantee you're going to have a successful event. So with that, I'm going to open the question queue, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to toss it back to Amy and Susie for any closing comments from ODA.
Again, thank you so much for taking the time to participate. As Jefferson stated in his very beginning, your feedback on this is extremely important to us. So please take the time to follow up with the survey that you're going to get here in the next 30 minutes or so, and let us know if this is a kind of service and a kind of information that you find helpful and that you feel that we should be investing in to, again, make your experience great. I'd like to take this time to thank Amy. I didn't introduce her at the beginning, and I apologize for that, but you all know Amy Semenya, our exhibit hall manager, and she is your main contact as we go through the next 4 months so we all can have a very successful show. Amy, anything you'd like to add?
No, I think you've covered it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jefferson.
All right, we've got just a few quick questions in the queue here. The first question is with regard to the pre-registrant list. Does the list include email addresses?
It does not.
Okay, so it's a mail-only list, and it's one-time usage? Okay.
It has, yes.
Go ahead.
No, that's good. The answer is yes.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, how far out should we start pre-marketing? You know, with your media, like your print media, if you're going to be an ODA today and stuff, I would get started soon. I would, because ideally about 3 months before showtime, you want to start getting your one-to-many media going, and that would be your print and stuff like that. And then in that 6-week to showtime window is when you really want to start ramping up the direct mail, the email, the voice broadcast, and the social media. So you would want to start amping that up. Someone's got a question about promotional products, good or bad. They work. They'll increase the response to a marketing campaign, but we need to be thoughtful about how we use them. You know, I mean, who really needs like another cheap pen? So my thoughts on using promotional products would be make it useful, make it unique, make it high quality, and if possible, make it personalized. I did a campaign years back for a dental client I worked with. We targeted dentists. We said, give us 5 minutes at the show. We'll show you how to cut your patient consultation time in half and double the patient acceptance rate. We put a golf tee in our mailer with the dentist's name on it. We mailed it to 300 dentists that were pre-registered for the show. Had 178 of them show up at our booth. Over 70 of them had the golf tee in hand because we said, hey, bring this tee to the booth. We got 99 more waiting for you. We didn't have our branding on the tee. We just had their name on it. But we got out of 300, we got 178 to the booth, and 72 brought their personalized tee to the booth. And by the way, we tied the whole theme into, we didn't just do that at random. We tied it into saving time, selling more dentistry, freeing up more time to do what? Golf. Okay, so promotional products do work. And that's all I've got for questions right now. So we've run a few minutes over. Please forgive me. It looks like almost everyone has stayed to the end. Thank you. Be sure to complete that survey. And most importantly, okay, use what you learned in this webcast. If you will, you'll be in the top 20% of exhibitors. You will have an incredibly successful ODA annual session. So from everyone at the Ohio Dental Association, my company, Competitive Edge, thank you so much for logging in. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you at the show in September. Thanks for logging in, everybody.